I'd like to call the meeting to order for March 8th, 2022. Would you please stand for a moment of silence? Please join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call. Trustee Sheets.
Here.
Trustee Hunter. Here. Trustee Good. Here. And our minutes.
I have some to copy for you guys of them after the meeting.
And I will make a motion to pay our expenditures. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Trustee Sheets.
Yes.
Trustee Hunter.
Yes.
Trustee Good.
Yes. And do we have any visitors on WebEx? Is Hannah there?
Hannah is not. There's a call-in user too, is the only person I see, so. Might be, but could be Hannah, might not be.
Then I will turn this over to Dana Milligan. If you want to explain who you're with, both of you come up here if you want.
I'm gonna let Jim Catino handle it. He's my attorney and I'll let him do most of this talking.
Sure, if you
Okay.
don't mind, I'll stay here. and
Sure,
just talk from
that's
here.
fine.
So again, my name is Jim Catino. I'm an attorney with a law firm in downtown Columbus. And then this is Dana Milligan. She's a member of a company called New Perspective Asset Management. And the reason we're here today, long story short, Adria Fields, who is one of the Franklin County prosecutors, has been coming to some of the court proceedings that we've had down in the where Dana and her team serve as receiver and vacant properties that the environmental court has used a kind of long dormant Ohio statute to start helping to rebuild some of these properties and find a way to get them into new hands. Adria came to our last court hearing and started asking questions about it because it's a process that we've been using in the city of Columbus for about 3 or 4 years now. And it's always been the goal of the court and the goal of us as a team doing this work to reach into the surrounding cities and the other parts of Franklin County outside of Columbus. We just haven't had really the opportunity yet to do so. And so when we were talking to Adria, she said that there was some work in the Franklin County Prosecutor's Office to try to identify some properties that might be something that we need to take a look at, and she was able to give one over to Dana and her team. But just kind of from a background standpoint, what this code section, the Ohio Revised Code does, is it says that if there's a public nuisance at a property, a complaint can be filed with the environmental or in the common police as well. That says that this property is a nuisance and that it's violating these city codes or these, it's a nuisance for these common law public issues. It's vacant, it's not boarded, it's crime coming into it. It's parts of the exterior, it's repair, things need to be torn down, all those things. And the code says that the owner needs to be given a chance to rehabilitate the property. And if the owner does not rehabilitate the property, the court is allowed to appoint a receiver to come in and put together a plan on rehabilitation to present to the court. And the court can approve the receiver coming in and taking control over the property, fixing the problems, and then selling the property to get it into new hands. And where this has been extraordinarily useful has been in situations where, for instance, someone passes away and their kids are on estate, there's no estate that's opened, and the property sits there vacant for years and years and runs into bad problems. Or there's, we've had issues where there's been landlords that are just not taking care of their properties, especially out-of-state landlords, where we see someone came in a few years back with an LLC and they buy a property. You can't figure out who owns it. You can't put no one to contact. It's just some random company name and no one's doing anything with it. And we found in a lot of instances, there is a mechanism where the county, different cities will actually foreclose on, they'll foreclose on property taxes. But in a lot of instances, there's these random properties here and there that for one reason or another, someone's paying the property taxes, or someone is still doing a little bit here and there, but just not fast enough. And we've been very successful in the city of Columbus of finding those properties, working through a plan to rehabilitate them and start the process of getting them into the hands of new owners that will actually take care of them and increase the tax base by fixing up the property and getting people in. And so when we were talking to Adria about this, she identified one property that Dana and her team were looking at, and she suggested to something that we come down here and speak to you about the process and see if there's anything that we can do in terms of answering questions or just talking through what it looks like. But it's been beyond what I thought would possibly be successful in Columbus. We have done we've looked at over 300 properties in the city. We have gone through the receivership process on 45 or 50 of them. 70. Right. I'm still a year behind the counting. Gone through the receivership process in 70 of them. And through that, we have been able to turn around all those properties to new owners. A lot of them have gone to end users. A lot of times what we see is that the property will do a little bit of work on it to get it up to code, and then a new investor will come in and they will take over the property, finish up the inside of it, and then they'll sell it off to an end user. And so they end up flipping. And we've been working with some other areas. We're working with Springfield, Ohio. We're working with some people out in Dayton. We've gone up to Marion, and just it's something that we both live in here in Franklin County. We work here, and we wanted to expand to the kind of the outlying Franklin County areas, and wanted to come down here and kind of talk through what this looks like.
Who would file the complaint? The Board of Trustees?
It doesn't have to be the Board of Trustees, actually. And sometimes it can be, well, so in the city of Columbus, the way it works there is they have a very, very good system set up through their prosecutor's office with what they call the zone initiative, where they have a prosecutor set up for each different zone, and they go out, they have their code officers. It's a well-oiled machine. And part of the problem with that is that you can't go and replicate that elsewhere because there's just not the resources to do that. And so the interesting thing about the law is it allows a government agency or a government entity to file a complaint, or it also allows a nonprofit that has an interest in improving the neighborhoods in Ohio is allowed to file a complaint. And so several years ago, we helped form a nonprofit called the Ohio Neighborhood Preservation Association, which that's how we started our very first case. Was we actually walked into the city, one of the city's cases, and we used that nonprofit to intervene in the case. And we said, we want to go forward with the receivership process. And that kind of got our foot in the door. But we have used that nonprofit in the past to file these cases and start the nuisance process. And when we use that nonprofit, really no one from the local government has to do anything other than sit there and watch it, and we go forward. Where we need help in the outlying county or the outlying areas of the county are identifying the properties that are difficult in the area and the ones that have been kind of the sore spot for years and years, and something needs to be done about it. We initially started this 5 years ago, literally driving around Columbus saying, look at that house, is that one good? And we'd go and do some research. And we look at that one and we talk to city prosecutors, and they say, no, don't deal with that one. We're talking to those people. And so what we are trying to figure out is the best way to move forward in terms of finding the houses that are trouble houses, being able to do some research on them, and seeing if this is a solution that would work. Receivership is one of those, it's a tool in the tool belt type thing that it can be used for a lot of good purposes. This ends up being one of them. And one of the things that we don't have a way of quantifying it, but we are very successful in it being used kind of as a hammer to knock people into compliance. And a lot of times in the city of Columbus, we'll go in, they'll propose that we get appointed as receiver, and all of a sudden the owner wakes up and starts doing work. And those are the ones that we actually really like as a success story, because we're not in this to try to take people's properties away. We're in this to do a job of cleaning it up We get paid for our time through the process, but we don't get to keep the revenue from the property. We pay lien holders, we pay back the owners if there's extra money. We go in, we use basically the equity in the house to do the work on the house and then sell it off and make sure it's in good hands going forward. So the concept being that Adrian was able to identify that one, which we looked at, and it looks like it would be a good fit. What was that property?
It's,
You have that?
yeah, I've got that.
It looks like it would be a good fit, but where we really want to go is find the one that's a good test property to start and see.
What do you think? If the building can't be rehabbed, do you,
This one in particular was 5585 Dawn Drive.
yes,
Okay, and we see that there's several parcels on that property also. There's 9 parcels. And the property itself is probably not rehabbable. Okay, in that particular case, but we could use a different receivership statute, which is the traditional receivership, in order to take this one where we wouldn't have to rehab it, but we would sell it to someone, and in the contract, they would have to tear the property down. Okay, and they would either tear it down or rehab it, one or the other, and in the conditions that this is in, we're guessing it would be a tear down. But they would also get 9 parcels, which is a healthy chunk of land nowadays where you can't find land, right? So that would pay for the receivership. It would pay for everything to get that torn down and they have to supply a plan of what they plan on doing with the property. We do checks on all the people that buy. I make sure that they're not a repeat offender, that we're going to just give somebody else a piece of property that, that they're then going to let sit. They have 120 days to make that good. The receivership does not close until they have finished their plan. So I keep my eyes out on everybody that's doing this and making sure that they're doing it. And they're getting calls from me and they're getting, okay, I see that you're not getting along. If you want an extension, let's find out why you're not getting along. Right now, supplies is a big problem. We're trying to get wood or, any windows, doors, anything. It's taken longer than normal. So we'll give them that. But there's also a clawback clause that if for some reason they're just not performing, the receivership will claw it back and then sell it to somebody else.
Yeah, so we've been through pretty much every machination of different types of properties. There's things that pop up. We've had properties that aren't connected to the local sewer system, so we have to add into the contract that the buyer is going to connect it to sewer. We've had properties that have been occupied with tenants, and the landlords are just not doing anything. And so we come in, we take over the role as a landlord while we're fixing things up. And we really, one of the most amazing things is we sat there a couple of years ago when the city of Columbus ran out of demolition funds right before COVID. The land bank was interested in acquiring properties to demolish because they still had some money left over. And we actually came up with a program with the land bank where we would bring things into receivership and we would put properties up on the market and we'd expect nobody to bid, and the land bank would just come in and buy them for $5,000 and then demolish. Not a single one went to the land bank because the real estate market is so insane that people are coming in and they're buying properties that Dana and I will look at and say, there's no way anyone's going to do anything with this property.
And they are.
And then they come in and they fix the thing. And we have, we really should send you some of the pictures because it's amazing what these people are doing with properties, and it just turns it around. So the point being that really any problem property, any area there's a group of properties that are an issue, we can take a look at it and we can talk it through. And there might be something that we're saying that just doesn't work here, but at the very least, we can take a look and say, this is kind of what we propose.
Most generally, the ones where the people are deceased is the biggest problem because there's just nowhere to go for the city or the county to go because the people are deceased. The heirs aren't stepping up or there are no heirs. So those are easy ones for us because there's not anybody that we're actually doing anything but improving the community. The ones that are hard are where there are people that are repeat offenders and they're not going to fix it up we don't go after people that are owner occupied, just so I can't, my comfort level is not there. Okay. I'm not going to go after owner occupied units. These are people that are either investors, deceased, or the owner is in another state and we just can't find it. Okay. My job is not, and I want to make that perfectly clear. My job is not to take someone's home. I won't. Okay. It doesn't feel good in my stomach. It doesn't, for my pride, it isn't a good place to go. But to help the community in saying, I've got this piece of property that's pulling down my neighbor's property because, or it's attracting drug addicts, it's prostitution, sex trafficking, whatever is happening. A lot of times I go in after, Zach Klein's been in and he's hitting the city pretty hard right now. And he's going in and taking down drug houses. And then those houses would come to me and we get them cleaned up and we get them sold. Now, Ogden's a good example of one where it was a drug house, there was a murder in the house, and we went in afterwards and got it cleaned up. And we sold it for 68, and the investor came in, fixed it up and sold it for 285,000. Okay, so it's helping the neighbors with bringing up their community. And it's with the shortage of housing right now, it's giving people a chance to actually be homeowners in a situation where there's no properties to find.
So we, I don't know how we move forward if you're interested at all, but we'd be interested in seeing if there's, as you talk through, if there's any properties that you, as you drive around, you just see this is something that hasn't changed for years and we need to do something. And part of that conversation can be through the prosecutor's office, or it can be, directly with us. But either way, we wanted to come and at least kind of give you an overview of what we do.
What do you think about Dawn Drive? I mean, since you're here,
You've looked at it.
Yes.
It's probably a tear down, right?
Yes. I mean, we would file the case for you through Ohio Neighborhood Preservation Association, because it's hard for a small government to be the bad guy, right? Your neighbors, it's hard. And we understand that. So it would be no cost to the township. It'd be no cost, and we would do it under our nonprofit. And then we would just keep you posted on what's happening and, let you know where we're going with it. Judge Mingo is loves our program. She's fantastic with what we do. It's not gonna be a problem to push this one through and you see how we go.
But on the flip side, we also are cognizant that, we don't want to just go into communities uninvited. And so, if you all look at this and you say, what, we really just don't like the concept of it, then we don't take our nonprofit to go and
Right.
where it's on.
Right.
Understand.
and this property has been problem in the forefront for well over a year.
Over a year.
That,
Mhm.
I mean, the neighbors would call us in the middle of the night, complain. I went over there at 11 o'clock at night one night just to see for myself what was going on, which was stupid. I did it. I was mad, so I did.
Yeah.
But I feel bad for the neighbors around that property. So
Mhm.
for me, I would like to see it moved forward.
I agree.
On that one, we can use that as our,
Test money.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, and so in that case, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and do our analysis of it. And we've done an initial review, but Dana and her team are very good about going out and we find all the lien holders on the property. We make sure we do title work. Because the last thing we want to have is someone to come out of the woodwork that has an interest in the property. And so we'll do all our background stuff and then Nancy, if we can maybe just communicate directly with you on,
Sure.
we can send that over to you and you all can take a look and just say, yeah, this looks good. Go ahead and go forward. And
Yeah.
within a couple of weeks, we could probably get the process started.
And Andrea has a court date, I believe, coming up.
Oh, does she? Okay.
Good. Good.
Well, then
Like,
maybe, we might be able to even piggyback off what she's already
Yeah,
doing.
she asked me to let her know tomorrow if we decided to move forward.
Okay. Well,
And
then-
she may be filing the case and we wouldn't have to.
Yeah, and if that's the case, we may be well ahead of things. So a lot of times it takes a while for the case to, once the case gets started, it have to go through the process of service and the judge has to look at everything initially. So, but if Andrea already has one going, maybe it'll just piggyback off of that.
I think she was planning to, whatever her first steps, well, they've been to court several times, but she said if we decided to go ahead and initiate this, she was going to change how she was filing it.
Okay. Well, then I think the next step then is I need to reach out to Adria
Okay.
and I can coordinate with her as the
Okay.
legal side of things.
I think we're in agreement, aren't we?
Yes.
Perfect.
Great.
I look forward to making things happen for you.
Yeah, and
Thank
if this one works out, we'll figure out what the next one is and hopefully it's a good.
Thank you so much, and I know probably at least 6 people around that house will thank
Our
you.
neighbors are all, the neighbors are always very, very excited when we show up at the door.
Mhm.
Well, thank you all for your time. Really
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
So we'll move on to department reports.
All right, yep, good evening. Last 2 weeks, I had 125 total calls of service. 7 reports were made, 3 arrests. One burglary, and it was actually moving in progress. The guys ended up catching the guy, so he ended up in jail. 4 thefts. 2 of them were 2 thefts that were, I call them actual thefts. They actually had something stolen or unrelated. One was somebody was something out of their car. The other one was identity theft. And then the other 2 other thefts both happened in the city of Columbus. They responded to 19 accidents, 3 suspicious persons vehicles, 13 armed drops, 15 traffic stops, and 7 disabled vehicles. And then I've been out on Norwood during the school hours and seen a single car that 3 hours and set up 3 different times. So closing the action plan and unfounded. I mean, I'll reopen it if something comes back, and then Rob Roy and Revolve still. I haven't seen any suspicious activity during the day out there. It's just.
Have third shift to go out there and sit for about an hour around 3 o'clock
3 o'clock.
AM.
Oh, okay. That's a little bit better time than. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else have anything?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to Greg. Road department. I'm assuming you're just an observer. Nice to see you.
As you know, truck 21 is still in the shop doing repairs. Got some estimates to get everything finished on it. And it's gonna be no more than 5,000. But exact number, positive though, so.
We'll need a resolution.
Yeah, probably. 5,000.
Sure. Like the resolution number 5 to do repairs to truck number 21, not to exceed $5,000. Oh,
Trustee Sheets,
yes.
trustee Huddle,
Yes.
trustee Good. Yes.
And we began the process of filling potholes. We kind of chose the 2, what we thought were the worst roads, which was Grassley, Gay. Finished up Grassley the other day, we finished up Gay today, so we're moving on as weather permits. Trying to get them filled up.
Because they were really bad on them Roslyn?
There was more than a few
On the other end.
down at the bottom.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was
my
a
side's fine, but.
mass.
Yeah.
Yes, and then coming around the corner towards where you live, that first little stretch where there's some pretty decent ones there as well. We didn't really get the hillside just because it's not really a safe thing to do without somebody at the top, somebody at the bottom, whoever's doing the stuff. So it's not horrible on the hill, but it's going to get done. It's just.
Somebody had posted something on Facebook or that the next door. And I had looked at that a couple of times and I don't know if I overlooked it or if it just popped up the day I happened to look when I opened it up. And I told her we would look into it. I said that she didn't have the name of the road. And she said Grassley, but it's already been fixed, and she thanked you.
Okay, good. So yeah, we're gonna continue on with that as we weather, well, whatever else pops up. We actually replaced 2 mailboxes on Neff Road. Pretty sure we didn't do it but on our road, so we took care of them. In the middle of, well, not really in the middle of, one of our trucks is ready because there's supposedly weather coming in possibly tomorrow morning. Also, just said on there's 2 to 5 inches expected Saturday night, Friday night, Saturday night. So who knows if we'll get the other tracks back in time, but we can convert our blacktop truck back to solid. So we'll still have 2 trucks to be able to get all of that. So.
I'm talking about snow again.
Open the March. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
I had the air conditioning on in the car.
Who didn't hear that nonsense?
I hope they were lying. Yeah, that's, we're in the middle of getting that one. We wanted to try to get as much of that blacktop on the road. And so we didn't have to keep transporting back and forth. So other than that, we're.
Did you get a copy of this? I think. Did you get it or the chief get
I
it?
think, somehow the chief got it, but yeah,
Asphalt materials?
but it's in there, but it was only dated the day before they sent that, so it's not like it's overdue or anything. Whatever day
So-
it came in, it was dated the day before, so
So it was okay.
Yeah. I think they were just switching up, sending.
When I got it, they made it sound like it was something that was overdue, late, whatever.
Well, the date on it.
It made a big
says
deal. I didn't,
February 28th, so.
I looked at seeing it was asphalt materials and sent it to
We've
you.
got 2 loads, which, did you get those? I put,
I think there's,
Coming to me.
there's 2 invoices,
yeah.
because, and they came through emails to me too, so. I don't know
Huh,
how all that happened, but,
I don't know either.
but there's a check.
Usually get it by mail.
Yeah, we got, like a ton the first time and like 2 tons the second time.
Yeah, this one, the due date's March 30th.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying it was only dated the day before they sent it, so, or the day I got it, so.
That it?
That's it.
All right. So we'll move on to the fire people. Oh, yes. That's what I'm doing. How about set a date for the spring cleanup? I've had one call about it already, wanting to know when we're having.
I'm here either way, so whatever you guys decide, doesn't matter.
We got time. I'm gonna have it later in the week.
How about the weekend after Easter? And Easter is the 9th, I believe,
of April.
following weekend.
I thought it was the 17th.
Is it?
Well, I'm not sure. Just,
My friend says.
Yeah, Easter's the 17th.
17th, okay. Weekend after that? I was wrong. I thought-
22nd, 23rd.
23rd and 24th.
You'll work on Sunday.
Oh, sorry, yeah, right. I don't know what day it is.
Apparently he does.
So April 22nd?
22nd and 23rd. But else, since you wrote me into talking, I just want to let you know that we were turned down for the Ohio stimulus grant. So wipe away my tears and for another grant to apply for. So
Okay.
I'll let you know that.
I heard there's quite a bit of grants that are going to be coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be, but that last grant, there was just wasn't enough money for a lot of townships. So we'll
Right.
probably taking lower cost projects and trying to get it up to.
Thanks for all the work you put into it. I know it was a
We
lot
appreciate
of stuff.
that. Yes.
Okay.
That'd be another one.
Yep.
Well, before we move on, I think I had this on here last week too, to discuss about the flooding on Seaman Road. Do you have anything you want to say now, or you want to wait? Till the,
You're talking Mayor Gray.
you?
Oh, okay. I was just following up on it. I know last time we spoke, you said give us some time and you check into things. And I spoke with Greg and he explained to me that they brought in an engineer and it's very costly, it sounds like, to really fix it properly. So I was hoping to walk in today and see Biden in here giving you guys a stimulus package to fix that, but he's not here. So I didn't know if there was a plan B or if we were gonna cross our fingers and hope somebody hits the lottery or, like.
How's it done for the last ring with that?
It's see, what's really weird is the first 6 months I lived there, I never knew it did that. Like every rain we ever got, it never did that at all. And then all of a sudden now, every rain, it does that. And it goes down, fairly fast afterwards, but it's just,
We were
I
out,
could put a dock out there, it seems like.
we were out at 9:45, the last rainstorm, the one, and it was coming across the road.
Yeah,
And at 12:45, when we rechecked, there was only a puddle on between you and the house beside you.
yeah.
Everything else was gone.
For what it's
I
worth.
was pretty impressed that it actually got away.
I can sit and watch or I'll go out there during a rainstorm and water will be at the top of the drain, the grate, and it's going into the second pipe, obviously, at that point. It's not overflowing. And then I can watch the water come down the street and fills up my neighbor's yard and I'm still fine. And then like in 10 minutes, once it crosses my driveway, then boom, it just floods the whole entire yard. It's 3 feet high at the road. I mean, it's crazy how fast it floods and then it actually goes back. Give it about 2 hours and it goes back down.
One of those big rains, I drove past.
Yeah,
Then I went around through Georgesville and drove past again and it did just what you just said.
yeah,
It wasn't bad at your house.
right.
And the second time I went through, it
Fills up. And the problem obviously is, if it was gonna rain for 3 days, once it overflowed, then it's 3 days. Either go get a hotel or,
did you have to leave your house?
yeah, I've had to leave my house before just because you can't take a shower, can't use the restroom, can't do anything. Because remember, we discussed that the septic is the discharge system. Water goes into there, when it gets that high, it back feeds into the septic system and fills it up.
You have a check valve on your septic.
Yes, it doesn't. And from the research I did on those, they only work up to 75 PSI. So when it'll actually, the alarm on the septic doesn't go off and water's at the top of the grate, but once it overflows, boom, the alarm goes off. Once the flood happens, the alarm goes off and you just can't use it.
Yeah, because it was discussed about putting a different kind of crossover in there to help show the cross the road. But
Yeah,
if the county engineers, you have them out for jetting anything, go ahead and have them on that 6 inch, just to make sure during settlement that it didn't pinch it or something.
So I got to still get them up there, so maybe I can work in to get Sandy and that same day.
I didn't know if, obviously, if you don't have 300,000 to fix
it the way the engineers say to do it. I mean, I just didn't know if when the water comes down, that's when it floods. I just didn't know if there was something where you try to get water across the road before it got to me, and then you don't have that problem. You know, I didn't know if there was, in other words, more drains up the road, even if it was, I don't know what they're called. Is it called a, when you just run a pipe across the road under it? Okay. I just didn't know a few of those up the road would help the
Yeah,
situation.
but where the other one is up there, you just can't just put it in anywhere because they usually go in the lower spots.
Mhm.
So there's already one up further.
Yeah.
underneath.
Yeah. Yeah, can you create lower spots by just,
Well, the other part of that is,
It's our field, yeah.
that's draining onto somebody else's property, which is a farm.
yeah,
And the one that's up the road from you, I don't know if you've noticed, it's cutting a path through that field
yeah,
that's about 4 feet wide.
okay.
That's not gonna fly with that guy
Right.
when it becomes planting season. So
Yeah,
not that, all I'm saying is, he's not gonna be real excited if we put 10 more through there.
I mean, if I owned the farm, because like once all the water comes down to me, it fills up and it crosses the road anyway. So eventually it goes over there no matter what. So if you could make water go in 4 different places versus one, seems like it would do less damage to me.
The only problem is everybody keeps adding to it.
Yeah.
Like I know
Drainage.
irrigation helps balance.
Yeah,
You're able to put on a room addition, which just added to that even more.
yeah.
But yeah,
I know,
but
one-
after we put it in, it was working great. And that's why I want to check to see if maybe you're wrong.
yeah, because it does
Pinched
seem
it.
weird, but like the first 6 months, like I said, it was, I never even knew it did that. When it, for the first time it did it, I was, oh my God, you know, I'm having a panic attack. I'm thinking water's gonna flood my house, you know,
But I mean, granted, there are some rain, we get them
crazy. right?
3-inch
Yeah,
range, nothing's going to hit that.
yeah.
So it's just, yeah, let us look into that 6-inch, make sure it's not damaged in any way.
It's supposed to warm up next week. I'll see if I can get Leo down to fix Sandy, and while he's there, he usually says, anything else you wanna do? And I'll say, well, come out here and
Mhm.
we'll have it jetted.
Okay.
The only camera they got there, we could use that push camera.
But the good part is, like I said, it does get away.
Yeah.
For that much water, it's getting away very quickly.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's never fast enough for
No.
anybody, but
I think you gotta check the outlet of it.
twice. I'll check her again.
It's like some rain coming up, I'm just like, you know, every time it rains now, I'm like having a panic attack and I'm like thinking to myself, all right, what's gonna happen when we have, you know, because sometimes in the, you know, spring, we will have 3-4 days of rain, you know, and then it's like,
Houseboat,
exactly.
get a houseboat and get a bathroom on
I don't know, I might have to. I mean, I literally joked around about having to get a porta john to keep out back of the house because you can't go to the bathroom, you know. My wife won't let me.
that. Well, I feel your pain because last year or a couple years ago, people were canoeing through my yard as well. So there is a lot of
Yeah,
water.
they like to have fun with it.
Yeah.
Right.
My neighbor canoed out to my shed to get something out of there for me before it got ruined. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not every day you see somebody canoeing in your
Oh,
backyard.
no, that's fairly uncommon.
When they tied into our structure, did they change the height of it where it went in from the old system?
No.
Okay.
In other words, did they alter your structure any?
No, because, well, what I mean is there was always pipes coming from your house.
Okay.
And I didn't know if when they installed the new, like say the old one was here, is your new one lower?
No, the new one is actually,
Well, that's the thing too. If we do upgrade the crossover, I'll upgrade the size of the pipe under the road,
which would. Yeah,
which would allow it to, in a situation like that, it would push out the other structure across the street.
Mhm.
So that should help some along the larger crossover.
Yeah. Like I was wanting to do a driveway this spring, but I don't know if I should yet until water's taken care of.
When your neighbor did his add-on,
Yeah.
he changed the grade big time because water,
Yeah.
came through there. I'm not gonna say it didn't,
Okay.
but it didn't come through like that.
Right.
And I don't know if you want to consider some kind of regrade on your part of it to kind of not push it back on him necessarily, but push straighter towards that. It's just that small drain, I understand, but it may be enough if you regrade a little bit on that side. That may be a temporary.
Well, I don't think it will do much because yard floods so that it doesn't get as deep because I have a little bit of a contour, but his yard just sits and holds water. It's almost like his, and I don't know if the problem is his drain, but it's almost like his drain does next to nothing. Is that like a little 4-inch drain?
Little one
Yeah,
The one in the corner on the right side.
between them.
Yeah.
but a full one.
I think.
There's just a ton of water that comes from
Up the
sort
street.
of back behind that whole row of houses. That's a ton of water that comes through there anyway.
Yeah.
And, you know, we kind of discussed before that it was coming at one speed
Yeah.
and then we added to it.
Mhm.
You know, it just came, when it's an inch and, what was it, an inch and 6/10 yesterday or the day before.
Yeah.
That's a lot of water quickly.
I've had it flood. I keep track of it on my app, on my phone and everything. I've seen it flood on a 1/2 inch of rain in 24 hours. It isn't a lot of rain. So something's not working right. And hopefully that's the case, you know, if it's an easy fix,
Yeah.
great.
Let's check out that 6-inch and see if something.
Thank you.
I appreciate all you guys' help.
Well, I want you to know, from today to the next meeting, we all talk throughout the week
You know,
to keep in touch and
Mhm.
trying to come up with something to help you.
okay.
And just like the $300,000 project, you know, that's still no guarantee.
I don't get what they're trying to do for that.
Right.
money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money to
Yeah.
not have a
Like a
guarantee.
guarantee.
Trust
you
me,
spend
every
that.
time
Yeah.
I drive past your house.
I know, my wife sees you.
Who's driving through your yard, by the way?
I'd like to know.
Okay.
It's actually
I'm
my
thinking
neighbor's yard.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, but she's asked me, and I have the cameras out there, but I don't have one on that side of the house. Actually, I thought about adding one so I could catch a license plate, but even the best cameras are hard to catch that stuff. But that is very rude and considerate. I've seen some tire tracks.
It's not just one time. It's been a few times.
Really?
I mean, there's 4 sets of tracks in there, but
Yeah, she's not.
I want you to know that every time it does rain like that, we are coming out there to try to.
Oh, yeah, it's, my wife said, yep, they're out again. She said you guys will clean the
We're,
leaves off that wash down.
yeah,
and,
we're
you know,
trying to do what we can.
I know you're trying. Like I said, that's why I stayed away, give you guys some time, see if you can come up with anything.
He called me one morning. I said, I beat you over there. But was it yesterday you called and I said, I haven't been over there.
Yeah, I said, did you beat me there today? She's like, no, I didn't do, not today, I didn't. I'm like, well, we're out here.
Well, it is somewhat assuring that, like you said, the first, I mean, I moved in the spring, you know, and that's when usually we're getting a lot of rain and I've never had a problem. So hopefully it is something where they come out and jet it and find if there was something in there and I'll be able to
Hopefully.
sleep at night.
I hope so.
But if we're gonna do that, we gotta get on that. Like, season's coming up, and all that, they'll allow us in there. Once explained.
Right.
So,
Oh, yeah. I'll call Leo tomorrow. See if he can.
I have your number, Greg. Do you mind if I call you?
No, you can call me or the office, either one. Just,
Okay.
I may not call you right back, but I try to call everybody back within the day. So
Okay.
if I don't know anything, it may be the next day.
Sounds good.
So,
Appreciate it.
And those tracks you saw in the neighbors, that the last time it was a black pickup truck. Because they
it's
called,
pretty,
they called me.
pretty
told me
blatant,
about it.
blatantly bad to cut that off like that.
Right, it's like people driving over the roundabouts.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
And that too.
Mhm.
you know.
But that water is not coming across that corner of that road so bad that you can't drive through it.
Oh, no.
I mean, it's not even close to that.
Somebody's just doing that. You know, kids probably being jerks.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna head out if you don't mind. I mean,
All right.
okay, I appreciate your guys' help.
Take care.
you.
Okay. We hit everything. Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to Chief's report. We're saving you for last.
That's fine. Best for last.
What is it? Yeah, that's why I thought I was last. We took 94 calls for service in February total. We're about 214 for the year through the end of 2 months. So far, we've had a busy start to March. We're at 29 plus a couple they ran today. So, after I sent this in, the brakes on engine one were serviced today. They did the rear brakes. The front brakes were good. So they were taken care of today. That's the only maintenance issue we've had. We've had IT out a few times. They've been resolving some lingering issues that we've had with some of the upgrades that have been completed. So we've got some little nagging phone issues and some internet issues, and some of the stuff was down and up and down. And Joe's been in and out trying to figure all that out. So we installed some smoke alarms on at a home on Pebble Beach, and we ordered and received some Class A foam for the engine as well. I'm pleased to inform you that our hydraulic rescue tools that we ordered through the AFG grant have been delivered. Training is scheduled for the 16th of this month, and then we'll go in service soon after. One thing I'd like to get on your radar was we are going to be meeting with Fire and Marine, who did the compartmentation on the engine when we bought it. We're going to need to modify some of that because these tools are significantly different, larger and different shape than what we had previously. So we're going to need to modify some of the compartmentation on that truck. So I'll get a quote for that. But they're supposed to come out and do some of the, give us an idea what we're going to need to do and how much that might cost. So when all's said and done, we get these tools, we get trained on these tools and get them in service, we will be looking to sell the current rescue tools. Kind of my plan is to do sell those tools is use that money to pay for the modification to bring into the truck. So it'll be a kind of a wash sort of situation. So we've been spending some time down at the Young Roadhouse that we have for training. As weather improves, our plan is still at this point, sometime in spring, to conduct live fire training in that down by late spring. May-ish, somewhere in that range, before it gets too awfully warm. So I don't have any requests this evening other than that executive session that we discussed. So other than that, that's all I have, unless you have something for me. Great, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to old business. We need to amend resolution 24 from last meeting because the pandemic bonus given to the employees was more than the 42,000 that we approved. I'll make resolution 26, amending resolution 24 to make the total approved for expenditure not to exceed $48,559.49 for approved bonuses for employees working through the pandemic from the American Rescue Plans Fund under the Township Standard Allowance Resolution 23-02-22-22.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustee Sheets.
Yes.
Trustee Hunter.
Yes.
Trustee Good.
Chief, can you make a note of that when the resolution that 26 amended it to that amount?
Okay.
Please.
Yep, understood.
Thank you. I think that's fine to that resolution.
I would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to make it real.
Yes.
That was 26, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll just, I can just attach this right to that resolution and that should be good, right?
Cool, yes.
Perfect.
I am on the correct resolution number, so I have no problem.
I think. Sorry.
Okay, and that, a reminder, the spring water solar. People will be holding a public information meeting tomorrow from 6 to 8 at London City Hall, 20 South Walnut Street. Anyone is able to attend that if they would like more information. You have local business? New business? the Franklin County Board of Health District Advisory Council that they usually do when we go to that meeting. They didn't. The meeting will be March 29th at 11:30 virtually. And the chairman is usually one of those. I'm available to attend. That's what we want to do. We'd love to attend. Thank you. I will hear that. I already put it on my big calendar on my refrigerator, so I don't get it home. Okay, and any other new business? Paula?
Okay,
Did I email you the invoice for David for the 12-month social media?
it's in the checks.
All right.
Okay, received a notice from the Farm Bureau of Franklin County. They're gonna have their annual meeting on April 5th. That's a Tuesday. A newsletter from the State Township Association. Notice from Ohio Bureau of Comp on a ruling from the hearing of the injured worker. Notice County Commissioners had a meeting scheduled today, but it was canceled. Planning Commission has a meeting scheduled for tomorrow. A couple notices from Vernon and Flower. Email from Morpsey that they're going to celebrate on March the 16th, the State of the Region. Another email, it's Morpsey newsletter. A notice from Franklin County Board of Elections. They are rescheduling their regular meeting. Franklin County Board of Health, just information on mask mandates. Another email from Franklin County Board of Health that they will deliver vaccines to homebound residents at the beginning of this month, and then scheduling additional ones. Several emails from the Ohio State Township Association legislative alerts. Notice that their 2002 conference that they have recordings are now available for those who didn't get to attend that meeting or that conference. Another Ohio Township Association legislative alert. Ohio Township Association education and events. Just a flyer from the Ohio Bureau of Workers Comp. We're having a March employer update webinar. Flyer from Police and Fire. Several flyers from SWACO on recycling and public events and festivals this year. And from Sedgwick, which is our rating for worker comp, is having Ohio Safety Congress and Expo March 9th through the 10th. And I'm not sure why, but I've started getting emails from First Energy. I'm not sure how many people in the township even have First Energy, or anybody does.
Yeah, I'm too. I've
Um,
never heard of them.
yeah, so, but
Ohio Edison is where I live. It's Ohio Edison, but it's also connected with First Energy.
okay.
I don't know if that's why, because I'm getting them too. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I get them.
But they
Yeah.
said, just to remind customers of available assistance for, winter, heating for people that are eligible. That's all I have.
taken care of. Visitors who wanted to speak, other than Jim. So, how about? I'll make a motion, or I will move to go into executive session according to Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22G5. And that is for matters required to be kept confidential by federal law or regulations or state statutes. And that it will be for the purpose of discussing health benefits. Do I have a second?
Second that,
Roll call?
Trustee Sheets.
yes.
Trustee Hunter.
Yes.
Trustee Good.
Yes.
Probably since it's,
Is it back on?
let's see, under Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22G, I move to come out of executive session. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Trustee Sheets.
Yes.
Trustee Hunter.
Yes.
Trustee Good.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that,
Roll call?
Trustee Sheets.
yes.
Trustee Hunter.
Yes.
Trustee Good.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned at 9:15.